back on the first series between Twisted Minds and MSJ, there was really just standard meta play happening. There wasn't any spicy comps like any Pyrola or anything like that, but we are going to see what compositions, what the results are going to be after this as we get on into game number 1 of Twisted Minds and MSJ. And I already know what the oh no is for, CLE. It's all the Mold Diver here yet again.
This is the nightmare. They're back. All of the Mold Divers back in games together. You can't tell them apart, and all they do is dig graves, and it's just kind of rude. So anyway, here we are in game with everyone on the same little legend.
If you dig 8 graves and only 4 people fit in the graves, what are the other, you know, maybe that's, you know, let's just not think about that. You know, Mold Divers do the thing, and yeah, we're just gonna be sending the best team forward here.
But they still won't give Graves a cigar, am I right?
I had forgotten that that was actually a thing. That's so funny. No, Graves not allowed to have a cigar. That is bad. Okay, no cigars allowed.
But we dig Graves in game.
Yeah, in game. Mold Divers are just digging. Okay, they're not graves, right? They're just little mole holes, because that's what moles do. They live in the ground. You know, it's very, very common known fact. I learned that in you know, in science class, in biology. We learned about animals, and moles dig their holes into the ground.
TFT is a great game that we're watching right now. On this is a good transition for sure.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
We have so much gold given to each of these players in this beginning stage of the game. You know, stage 1 isn't that entertaining most of the time. But when people have decisions to make, like making 10 gold and selling some of these important units, we see here for Snowy that he probably will make 10 gold here. Yep, and we'll have that good economic advantage. Looks like 62nd and Huame also going that route. Gold augments to start will be pretty influential with this Syndra, knowing that Snowy wants to get those perfect items. Taking that Pandora's items, sorry.
There was the choice of that sleight of hand, and we saw in the last series it be so good from Coco, transitioning it into a portal, but streaking for the first 10-11 rounds of the game. Snowy, however, having an early Syndra, wanting to slam some items, didn't really get anything assembled right now, but hopefully they do in just a round or 2.
We have 2 players that chose Epoch, giving that XP and rerolls on the beginning of each stage. Yeah,
a little bit of XP, wanting to go more of that tempo style of play. We get some good frontline and backline upgrades, actually, and still 10 gold for Ryu. Going up against El Mumu in this match, El Mumu is bored. Is just not going to be as strong, unfortunately, but also an Epoch player, so probably the end of this round is going to sell up to 10 and is going to go also for that tempo style of play. Nearly half the lobby is leveled to 4 at 2-1 with El Mumu, Ryu, and On.
And also in this lobby, we have 2 players playing Replication, giving 3 copies of the same item component. So many people possibly going that Syndra route. Often you would take Bow there to get that red buff, usually plus either Gwinsu's or that Nashor's Tooth as well. Cosmo, though, already with this Kog'Maw too.
Yeah, that is super early for a Cog too, but I feel like we've seen situations before where there is an early Kog'Maw too. It looks strong, but then you look at the other side and yeah, it's contested.
This might be... Is this the first hero augment we've seen?
Of today or the tournament?
No, of the tournament. I don't think we've seen hero augments nearly at all.
I think we might have seen one, but yeah, definitely unfavored. Because I think we talked about a little bit yesterday of the lack of hero augments probably being that, hey, if you pick that, you're locking in your strategy. Everyone's gonna be scouting you knowing that, oh, okay, you just grief that unit, and it makes it infinitely harder for you to hit, infinitely harder for you to have a good placement in that game, so players were typically just kind of shying away from them.
Snowy finding important units. There's a Nunu in shop, so maybe they pick that up just to grief the other players in this lobby. Two of them obviously wanting this Nunu on their board. A pair of Syndras as well with the 2 Vanguard with 3 Eldritch. This board is very strong. I'd imagine we'll start winning a few rounds in a row.
Yeah, lost on 2-1, but with upgraded Vanguard, with upgraded Eldritch unit, making that Eldritch spawn just a little bit more powerful, as we have MSJ's Panda. Only 1 tier, but the tier's on the Nunu though, so I guess prioritizing the front line, that makes a lot of sense with that Sweet Tooth hero augment. Going to only go for the Kog'Maw items after the Nunu is already itemized.
Again, we see Panda with that Sweet Tooth augment, which is very, very interesting. We'll keep our eye on that throughout the game, on its performance. But for Twisted Minds here, not looking like we have someone super dedicated to that loss streak. Maybe 62nd, who is on a 2-loss, but El Mumu and Panda both holding down that loss streak for MSJ.
Yeah, they are getting the first picks. Panda grabbing the Rod, El Mumu grabbing the tier. El Mumu having a vest and a bow to work with. Panda, of course, having another tier and having the glove. So not really a slammable item, it seems. Unless they want to go Archangel's Nunu, I think that's definitely going to be... actually, that is really, really good. I was like thinking Redemption for some reason in my mind, but no, Archangel's with that big scaling is going to allow him to heal up pretty much to full whenever he casts later on in the game when he gets all that HP.
And as we looked at that bottom of the screen there on the carousel, it looks like we might have 4 Kog'Maw players
no way.
in this lobby. Juanmei is playing Kog'Maw, has Kog'Maw with 2 slammed items, that red buff and that last whisper. We have many players playing that front line as well. On is holding 2 of these Kog'Maws on bench because he knows the reality of the situation. We see Juanmei across the way. That is very clearly a Kog'Maw spot. And so we have Kog'Maw players and maybe only 1 Syndra player.
Yeah, well, at least 1 player per team is going to be kind of committed to this Kog'Maw line. Replication on both sides. For On, however, it was the Rod being the choice there, slamming Death Cap, and now the Morellos on this Jace. On the other side there, for Juanmei, it was the bow.
I never would have thought of Jace as an AP item holder, but that did so much damage in this fight, and is obviously on this 4-win streak, which is quite good. Again, we have this Kog'Maw 2 here. They probably look like they're going to be pivoting off that, but Juanmei is clearly committed towards that route, and it looks like El Mumu is as well. Now slotting in a Syndra.
Wait, okay, this is 3 players of MSJ who have Kog'Maw openers. Panda has the Sweet Tooth augments, so we know that they're committed, but Cosmo and El Mumu as well have at least the units on the board. It looks like El Mumu is going to pivot towards Syndra, though, because surely 3 players in the same team don't contest each other, right? That just makes no sense.
That would make 0 sense, and I'm sure he even asked, Panda did, before taking that augment, hey, anyone looking towards Kog'Maw? No, you guys good? Okay, I'm taking this augment. But here we are with almost all of them going this direction. 62nd has that Death's Defiance on bench here, playing multi-strikers. It's not on the Kassadin quite yet, but would be quite powerful.
Yeah, I guess wanting to go for that loss streak, right? 4 loss, still preserving a decent amount of HP, still being at 82. Death's Defiance could find its way onto Nikali later, or just be double healing on Kassadin, and foregoing a survivability item. Maybe just going for something like a Archangel's, Nashor's, Rage Blade, you know, to get that AP, to get that fast attacks going on. But 62nd is very, very rich right now.
Yeah, leveling to 5 here on the neutral round. Finding this tier that is not exactly what he's looking for.
Ooh,
now
Nashers.
has good Syndra items for fun, but will slam Nashers onto this Kassadin. Really needs that next multi-striker. Just waiting on 1 Hecarim.
Yeah, I think 62nd might be rolling until 1 Hecarim on 3-2, right? They have a bunch of gold to pre-level to level 6. going to still have about 10 gold to roll, just kind of like, not for free, but not going below that 50 gold break point. I think that will come through as we see a lot of items slammed here for everyone besides Elmumu, still thinking about what they want here, not really committed to a direction, it seems like, at this point.
It's been interesting to watch how people interact with charms, specifically in this early game. You see Panda and Hwame not taking this dress down charm that would be very helpful and maybe help them get through a fight and maybe kill a little bit more. Obviously Snowy on the other side with a very, very good level 6 board. But for both of them, they're losing health rapidly, and anything to help them get a little bit closer. Prismatic augments, though, for at 3-2.
Yeah, support golem being the snap pick here. Shroud is decent. The item chest is not really what you want to see. It is one of the weaker items on the support golem, but Hwame rolling for at least hopefully a Kog'Maw 2, a Rumble 2, does find the Kog'Maw and a Lilia upgrades, another copy of Tristana as well. This is a strong level 6 board, and Hwame has opted to play the Lilia 2 over the Jinx, right? That is the major decision point in this composition. What do you play on 6? Do you play Hunter and Sugarcraft, or do you play Fairy and Bastion? And Fairy Bastion is the choice there.
We see Panda holding these multi-casters, playing for Bastion. Maybe instead of this Kog'Maw route is a good idea. Your other teammate will just not 3-star Nunu and focus on the other tanks. So I'm starting to see little communication pieces come together here.
Yeah.
But instead, they have Vygar 2 already.
They have Vygar 2, so it might actually be a Vygar-focused Honeymancer composition, which, I'm not gonna lie, does worry me because we have not seen Vygar be very successful so far, but we also haven't seen it come through with that hero augment for Nunu, so maybe there is a chance that Panda is going to have a little bit of breath of life here with that in mind. As you get the dice roll, always love seeing what number it ends on, and it's 1.
Oh.
No, feels bad.
-1 gold.
-1.
It sure does. I don't feel like I've ever lost a gold on that one.
I
feel like I
have. It
get 2
feels so
all the
bad.
time. Seriously? Oh,
Yeah.
that's the worst. I feel like I get 2 like 50% of the time.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of 2s. When it hits 6, though, that's when you're like, yes, I have won the game.
I've won. Thankfully, really the only risk is possibly losing 1 gold, so not too much of a risk, but a good amount of reward if you do get +4 gold. We see here Snowy not having to roll too much and does have upgraded frontline and an upgraded Syndra in early stage 3. This is looking like a great spot for them. Having Giant and Mighty as well, which keeps this front line having lots more HP and Vanguards who use that HP well, gaining that shield and resistances.
Yeah.
This is a great spot for them to continue their win streak.
Jace was, yeah, they got really Giant, really Mighty there. I guess they got the charm, or if you survive 25 seconds, you get that big, you know, that big power spike, which I actually haven't seen that charm come through yet, so that surprised me too. As in that last round, there was, of course, still that Jace with 3 items, the Shojin's, Morello's, and Deathcap, so Jace doing their best Karma cosplay there.
Important components coming in, looking to slam more and more items. We have lots of components not slammed, so a lot of people are hoping that they can get that thing that they need. You know, Hwame looking for that Spear of Sojin, does get that here on this carousel. And we see other Syndra players. This one looking like they're playing a similar line. Has that Karma and the Nami already.
Wow.
Now a pair of these Karmas as well. Rolling down on level 7 instead of level 6.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Leveling to 7 at 3-5 and hitting Karma too. So, all right, just hit. 3 Karmas out of the pool is going to be very, very bad for some other players in this lobby looking to go that same strategy.
Yeah, Karma 2 before a Syndra pair feels real bad.
Yeah.
You're still not anywhere close to the Syndra 2. You don't even have an extra one on bench. And he's kind of stuck also between the 2 lines, between Shapeshifter and Vanguard, not having the Vanguards upgraded, but has the Swain 2 with the movable object on there that is incredibly powerful. And Cosmo on the other side is on Grief Hwame duty with that Kog'Maw. You see a few on bench as well.
Yeah, we see Shivanate come through, and it does actually lose a round, it looks like, even though you were talking about that charm having such a high round win rate, but not quite strong enough versus Panda.
We see Panda, though, having really good Nunu items now, and this silver, the prismatic ticket really helping with these rolls. Only 2 away from that Nunu 3 with really good items. That Crown Guard gives AP and that Giant Shield to start the round, and then the scaling AP with that Bloodthirster to continue to keep Nunu alive.
Pretty unfortunate that 3 of the belts went out to the Kog'Maw. Panda did do a little bit of tech of benching the Vigard to have better odds to roll into the front line, but Kog'Maw said, nope, belts are all for me.
He just needs to hold up his pants. He needs 3 of them.
Does Kog'Maw wear pants? How does Kog'Maw wear pants?
I don't know. He's a bee right now, so do bees wear pants?
I don't think bees wear pants. I don't really know.
You know that question, like, how would dogs wear pants?
Yeah.
Would they wear them over their back legs or on both? That's what's going on in my head right now with bees.
Yeah, that was kind of the intent there. Jay's still with these 3 items, but On is on a 3 loss streak right now because yeah, it turns out Jace isn't the best carry 3 items going into the later half of stage 3.
Yeah, I'm sure On expected that a little bit, but that's gonna be a big loss. And take a look at our leaderboard here. It's a little bit one-sided going into stage 4.
Yeah, just a tad. Amumu and Cosmo level 7, but Snowy and Ryu are as well, and they do in fact have a bit more gold on average than MSJ. On, however, is very rich in the middle of the pack there, 67 HP, and this is going to be a big roll down here next round. Definitely want to see what On picks up as we get a closer look at just the rest of the board. Panda being 2 Nunus away from that big upgrade. Cosmo, of course, as you mentioned, on that Grief Juanmei at duty with that Kog'Maw kind of style of play.
Did I see a Gwen 2? As we scouted, I think I saw one. I also saw 60-second with 3 of those artifacts on an Akali 2 alongside those multi-strikers. So some very interesting power spikes happening across the lobby in some odd intervals also.
Yeah, nothing happening on this board for Cosmo. Is going to be greeting out just a little bit longer. And actually, I expected more players to go to level 8 there. Looks like Ryu is the only player who went 8 and rolled down. So we're going to have to see exactly where that has left the board. And that is going to be a Callista Flex kind of board. Double Rage Blade being slammed, as well as, of course, that Fairy Crown.
Yeah, but also having that Fiora 2 that many people are going to be rolling down for, a pair of Gwens on the bench and a pair of Rakans also with that Morgana. So we have good workings for a Witchcraft Flex composition that we've seen be probably the most successful of these boards at level 8.
Yeah, there's 7 Cassidans on the bench there, just massively griefing 60-second there, going for that Cassidon multi-striker line. See what Cosmo ends up on, because this is AD Flex Fast 8, which we almost never see CLE. This is only an Akali upgrade. The other rolls come through, and it's not really landing on much, unfortunately. Maybe just a blaster commitment here.
Makes the Ezreal 2 upgrade and then sells it immediately.
-1 gold.
Putting in a Callista now and having a Morgana. He is trying to play this same flex line that we just saw across the way, already having a lot of the units that he's looking for. So this contested line does find that Camille, though. That is an important part. But Panda finally hitting while holding everyone else's units.
Yeah, and it looks like Panda actually is going the Kog'Maw direction as well. But yeah, 7 Cassidans actually going to be a big reason why Juanmei has not hit very many Kog'Maws, still stuck on 6 himself as well. We have not quite seen this level of Kog'Maw contestation throughout the game so far, as a whole 3 players are going for it.
I mean, you see the problems a little bit with this new augment is, although they were able to hit, at what cost, really?
Exactly.
They don't have a ton of damage. That Nunu falls down pretty quickly because it is now a carry, really, rather than a tank. And so MSJ now occupying all 4 bottom spots here, and 3 of them on a loss streak, We need to get this figured out.
Yeah, MSJ looking so dominant in the first series, but like you mentioned earlier, Twisted Minds looked angry. They looked locked in and focused, and that is exactly what is happening here in game number 1. They had good spots to win streak with, play very high tempo, and what worries me is all of the gold from MSJ is pretty much gone. Amumu just on 13, but nobody else has any. But look at the gold on Twisted Minds, right? All of them are about 30 gold. Snowy only being the poorest one with 20 still.
And if we're not winning rounds here, it is a very dim position here. The trait web for Cosmo looks amazing, having all of those units in. This is kind of the board he was looking for, but it's all 1-star. Enough to win this round versus Panda. We're seeing that Sweet Tooth augment not do too much in the later stages of this game, especially when you hit really late. But Panda, you know, on grief duty, has nearly a Cassidon 3 just for fun to grief, and as well as a bunch of Syndras as well.
Yep, a lot of gold being spent there for grief duty. Going into stage 4 carousel here, seeing all the comps in the overview. 62nd, of course, only multi-striker player, but they have not hit really anything. And I mean, the Cassidon's being denied. That makes a huge difference.
Even though 62nd and Huame are being griefed very, very difficult, very hard, it's not even affecting most of their HP bars. They're still higher HP than the rest of MSJ. They still have more gold than them, though they are both lower level than a lot of MSJ. They are still chilling in for. Oh
wow!
This is might be a means for a comeback here for On in this game, having a bunch of upgrades in this front line, and now having that Nora too.
Yeah, we've seen Nora do a ton of damage earlier with 3 good items being upgraded to that 2-star, so might be able to do the same here again. This is mentorship being the augment of choice there. So a little bit of buffs. Panda now having 8 Cassidons. That's so funny.
This is just so rude. It's just so rude. On the other side also having 2 of them. So they're basically all gone just on the bench of MSJ here, griefing their teammates. Panda knowing that he will be going to the grave here soon, but hoping that he can kill enough units. The Nora not doing too much. It's not a ton of burst damage, so this Nunu might be able to survive and even win this round.
Yeah, the shield from Bloodthirster comes through narrowly, just one-shots Nora. Second cast, be able to do it. Hey, Nunu gets a good meal at the end of the day.
And here's Cosmo. Taking a loss in the last round is devastating. Really needs to figure this board out. Needs some of these upgrades, and that's not the one he's looking for. Needs some of this front line to be 2-starred. We see here 62nd abandoning this Cassidon while the lobby holding that one goes for the Akali instead with 3 artifacts.
Yeah.
So this Akali is going to be terrifying.
Death's Defiance, double Infinity Force. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. 62nd, while they are in top 4 in the standings currently, I think it is likely that they drop into bottom 4 by the time the game is done. Almumu versus Cosmo here, though. MSJ dealing damage to each other here.
Yeah, and Cosmo will probably win this round with this good trait web, high-cost board with few upgrades right now. Almumu did end up pivoting off that Syndra onto that Karma 2 that we saw, but now has a blue buff on bench and instead has lesser items on their Karma 2.
We see the HP numbers of MSJ keep dropping lower and lower. 62nd does for a moment there dip into the bottom 4, but On with that loss just sails on further. 60 HP on Juanme, Ryu having 75, Twisted Minds is Snowy having 77. This is one of the more dominant matches that we've seen, minus the end of that last series with branching out and GK Esports. Maybe Twisted Minds can have our second 1, 2, 3, 4 of the event.
The difference with this match is, like, the dominance has happened throughout almost the whole entire game.
True.
The HP bars of MSJ are just so incredibly low. Some of them only have 2 lives left. Some of them, 2 of them just really 1 life left in the later part of this game. And Huame still hitting everything he needs. All of the Kog'Maws are now complete. That is a golden 3-star Kog'Maw. And now hitting that Rumble as well. Obviously abandoning the Nunu so that his teammate could go for that instead.
Yeah, how does this happen actually? Because Juanme was contested by 2 players on the opposing team, still hits Kog'Maw 3, still hits Tristana 3, still hits Rumble 3, which is fine, right? That can happen, but the surprising thing is he's still at 60 HP. Like what?
I'm just gonna chalk it up to player diff. I think just
World champ
Kwame's
diff.
that good. Yeah, this Akali though, it is on the back line, but not doing that much damage for the items and resources that have been put into it. But the rest of that front line, the rest of these multi-strikers are doing enough. Mumu falls out, Cosmo falls out, and Panda dropping to 3 HP. This is a disaster for MSJ.
Yeah, it means On and Panda have to go 1-2, but I think that is going to be well out of reach. CLE, just a couple more rounds. Panda does hit the Kog'Maw 3, so at least that is something to be happy about, but just for a moment, as this next round could lock in Twisted Minds with their first round win. This is a completely different Twisted Minds than we saw on day number 1.
Yeah, they were playing a little bit too careful would be my interpretation of how that went, right? They barely lost each of those rounds, playing pretty conservatively against MSJ, and MSJ was able to take advantage of that and able to go for that 2-0 upset that shocked the world there. But now you see Twisted Minds imposing their will on this lobby, now taking out Panda to lock in their win. Panda was on grief duty, and you know it's bad news when the grief duty person goes 6th.
Yeah, Panda, unfortunately, the Sweet Tooth Kog'Maw did not do enough. 6th might be good if the rest of your team is winning, but yeah, On lost as well, being tied at 10 HP with 60 seconds. This is the most one-sided game that we have seen by far in this tournament, and hopefully it is not going to be signifying what is to come next game. MSJ needs to lock in and do it right now.
And I like this board. It's pretty creative here from On, able to use 5 mage, especially these high-cost mages to their advantage. And it's just not looking like it's going to be enough, not enough burst damage to get through some of these units that have so much healing on them, like this Akali and the Cassidy on this side for 60 seconds, and like so many of these frontliners on the other side. 60 second will be falling out of the game here. Will it be a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Twisted Minds? On does win this fight, so will not be the top 4 lockout.
Hey, top 4 for MSJ with one of their members, which at least it's not a complete blowout here in this game number 1. On is probably not too much longer for the world, at least in this game number 1. Taking an Ionic Spark on the carousel, going to buff up these backline mages, having a Nora 2, Nami 2. Nora with these 3 items, right, is a very creative board, like you called out, running the 5 mages. Not something that we've seen, and honestly, you know, I like seeing this creativity.
Yeah, I mean, you're just playing what the game gave you, right? Ooh, this is a very big upgrade. Tarek 2 with that Spark, trying to decide what to sell.
Oh,
yeah, there's Zillion Shop 2. Yeah, that's much better for this board. Able to hold on to that Recon pair is really important, because that front line is exactly what stalls this composition. And so, wondering if they'll even swap items possibly if they don't hit this Recon here soon.
Everything is grouped up for the Syndra to be having some massive tidal waves. She needs to get to the next cast, however, and there's no mod generation. But the wave does not hit the Callista. That is a big deal.
Nora obviously is a great utility champion, able to make those giant pools, but not enough burst damage to get through some of these units that have any kind of healing, like 7 multi-striker. And so MSJ completely out of this game. Not quite a top 4 lockout. On able to have a little bit of redemption there.
What?
Wait, huh?
What? Why is that not a tier 3 Seraphine? Why is there like?
Is this an observer bug? Or
wait, what? One of those Seraphines looked like it was like not even tier 1. It was like tier 0.
What is? Oh, they're gone now. Okay. Bye. What was that? That was weird.
Yeah, we're just gonna, I guess, move past that one. That shouldn't have happened, but good thing it actually isn't impactful, right? Just Twisted Minds here, being 1, 2, 3. Wonder who has the highest average placement of that team, right? Because they're probably gonna want that player to clinch this victory.
Yeah, I think that would be a good strategy. It looks. I mean, that's too much math.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to do math, Sealy. We're commentators. We don't do math. That's for the statisticians, the analysts.
Talk.
You know, we don't do that.
We just yap for 8 hours for the last 2 days, and then probably the same here today.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
At least it's been 8-hour days, huh? Right, and with our call time, we've been here for the whole ride here, but it's been a lot of fun action, of course. Be it a long day, but we get to see the best competitors of TFT, the best in the world, really give it their all here at the EWC. So it is worth it at the end of the day, as Hwanmi sells the whole board, has that golem, but can't sell the golem, unfortunately. He probably would have.
Yeah, just a couple of them keeping units on their board so they can get this game over with, so we can move on to the next one. Level 10 now for Snowy, so we can do max damage. It's kind of fun to watch them move these games along.
Yeah, I think we have found out who is going to be the highest average placer. Ryu and Snowy, probably not it. Probably gonna be wait, didn't Hwanmi sell as well? I think Hwanmi.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I guess Snowy actually has a board.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, it's gonna be Snowy here taking the win, unless they
probably figured out
yeah
who both of them are facing by comparing their matches, and that person buys the 10 units. This is the 4v4 game plan.
Losing some HP.
You
with
see him buy a Briar.
Yeah. Wait, if you buy a new Briar, does it give you the thing back? It probably doesn't, right?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
But you can go, you can roll for some charms to spend some HP, but that doesn't seem like what they're gonna do. Snowy's got enough units on the board to make it happen.
Yep, still rocking, solid comp here, but it's going to be dealing lethal to Ryu, as Twisted Minds have a dominant victory in game number 1 versus MSJ.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 5 for Twisted Minds. Not quite the 4 that they were hoping for, but very dominant. You see a totally different Twisted Minds team here at this elimination stage. This is the decider match of whether or not they go forward, and so it is a completely different animal.
That was a completely different Twisted Minds from day number 1. I wonder what exactly happened. Maybe it was a coach diff, right? They do have a strong coach there who maybe got them all focused on the same page to get back to this rematch and then beat MSJ in a dominant fashion. MSJ really have to go back to the drawing board here and say, all right, grief duty did not work, and so let's take a look at the highlights to see exactly how this game went and see maybe what MSJ can do to improve their chances here in game number 2.
Yeah, we saw El Mumu's early Karma too. You see that on the left side, and never hitting Syndra. Had to switch items over. Was super unfortunate for him because that was not what he was hoping for. Obviously wants that Karma too, but not before Syndra 2. The creative board here from On was great, but as it was killing his teammates, we knew that it would be hard for anyone to pull out this win for MSJ.
You gotta save more early game HP. I think that is a big lesson that we have learned. Even if you end up on a very strong board, if you and your teammates are all one life, like, it doesn't really do any good. You're gonna be eventually facing against each other, knocking each other out, and there's no amount of desperate pleas that are able to save you from that, right? And so Twisted Minds playing very high tempo, even playing contested, but Hwanmi, I think, really showed a master class of how you play contested and how you still are able to, save HP, play a very high tempo style of play. That was one of the most impressive runs that we have seen there with that strategy. And yeah, just very well done, Twisted Minds, in game number 1. We're gonna be right back before we get on into game number 2 of Twisted Minds versus MSJ. Don't go anywhere.
set, go.
The upset in round 1 by MSJ clearly upset Twisted Minds, and now they've come back with a vengeance with a dominating Game 1 performance. Game 2 coming up next to see if Twisted Minds can close it out in a similar fashion that they got upset by in round 1.
It's really surprising to see the kind of night and day difference from day 1 and day 3 of Twisted Minds. Of course, they had to make that lower bracket run to be able to get back here, but they are coming at MSJ with a vengeance as we see the teams prepare here for game number 2. MSJ kind of looked lost in that last game. I would say they have a couple of people that were playing Kog'Maw. They had Panda with that sweet tooth being clicked at 2-1, and I think CLE, there's a reason we have not seen too many hero augments clicked.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit. Unless it's one of these super obscure ones that's not contested, maybe even a Wukong one that's not a part of any other composition per se, it's not really gonna work. Like, I'm sure like you could click Spider Queen and probably hit at least 3 uncontested. Sounds good, but that's not even one of the better ones. No. So not ideal.
Yeah, I clicked that once myself. I'm like, okay, I have like 5 Elises right now. This is pretty good, right? And then she carried me throughout all of stage 2, like most of stage 3. And then I think I ended up losing like 8 rounds in a row. I was like, wait, this unit kind of sucks in the late game. Just does not do nearly enough. I think I have best in slot too. But yeah, even the obscure ones, they're probably obscure for a reason. They're not really going to be putting in that, you know, performance that you'd expect out of a hero augment. And so as we approach game number 2 here and get on into it, let's see if MSJ has something else to cook up here to bring us to a match 3.
Every time I see these guys, it just cracks me up. They're going between gold subscription and completed anvil, and the portal selection will be that completed anvil, just giving an extra item to everyone in the game.
How many moles does it take to advance into the playoffs bracket, CLE?
Too many.
Too many moles. 8 moles here, only 4 will advance. 4 moles will be falling in their own, not graves, I guess, but holes they're digging, you know? They're not graves, Smile.
Yeah, no.
Back to this.
I wonder if they'll continue on with the you know, the astronaut mole divers in the next round.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's been a theme here so far. I wonder if they, I wonder like how they decided on all going astro moles, right? They're 2 teams from 2 different regions. I don't know, it's crazy, but we're seeing the more Honeymancer units, which is kind of making me worry right now because of all the Honeymancers that we saw last game, and most of them did not work out unless your name was Juanme.
Wow.
But for Ryu, that component, or excuse me, that full item anvil, getting a Gnasher's Tooth in the first round, you couldn't get much better.
I am surprised he popped that component anvil this early, but also not that surprised that he was wanting to stake his claim in this composition, typing basically in chat with this item slam, me Syndra / Defen. He is going to be playing this composition throughout the game, hoping that he can get a tier here with an excellent start.
Yeah, if it's a tier here, I don't want to say locks Ryu into a top 4, but almost feels that way, right? Unless some egregious low rolling happens in the early and mid game, but as long as you like decently roll one of those, then
Wow.
yeah, the Shojin is here. The Rod even is there for a Rage Blade. And do we just click Iron Assets right now?
Why wouldn't you?
If
Yeah, here we
this
go.
gives a bow,
It's game over.
oh, no bow.
Oh.
All right, it still could be a
What do you slam
Morello's,
here?
but it is going to be some frontline.
Yeah, crown guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That makes a ton of sense. Able to give the survivability so that Syndra can still ramp up with that attack speed that they do have in the mana generation. Yep, see the items slammed onto a unit on bench. Holding those on the bench to see who their first opponent is because they know they're strong. They know they'll win regardless. Just want to make sure it's not their teammate.
I'm actually glad that Ryu didn't get a bow there, because that would have been too disgusting of an opener, right? That would have been so illegal to have 2-1 Syndra with a Gnasher's Shojin and a Crown Guard. We see Ryu wait to slam the items because they didn't know if they're going against a teammate or not. They still will slam the Shojins because stacks are important, but not slamming the Crown Guard. Just give a chance for Snowy to take down this Blitzcrank. I don't think that's going to happen, though, as the Eldritch unit comes through. It's close, but no. Still more minus HP there, but still good recognition of that.
Double healing items slammed here for Cosmo, who looks like he definitely wants to go towards that multi-striker route. So we have 2 of these members at least going for this 2-cost reroll, but I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, and actually Cosmo picking up Spoils of War 1, as that makes a lot of sense why you would want to slam some early game items. There is a Kassadin on this bench. Now, early game multi-strikers is very powerful. It does get a lot of unit kills, a lot of round wins, and so maybe able to generate a lot of economy that way. But 60 seconds, that's a lot of new news coming through with that Caretakers.
This is a good spot for them to go for that Kog'Maw as well. They have that open bow. I'm guessing they probably won't lean towards the Syndra route, especially as they see Ryu from across the way with those perfect items. Thinking about what they can do, maybe going for Kog'Maw with the new news. That would, probably be exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, let's see here. A pair of Syndras. The gold, however, is rather lacking for 60-second. Having to hold on to all of those units because they are just so powerful. Ryu getting a lot of stacks here into that super tanky Nunu. It might even end up falling here with just a couple more casts. Now it does get the extra heal off.
Boom.
But, okay, barely being taken out by 60 seconds.
That is an important loss to for Ryu, not obviously wanting to lose that round, but one of them is going to have to win streak through this stage with those early 2-cost upgrades, and it's looking like it will be 62nd. Ryu, though, getting so many stacks because you're running into one of those early game super tanks that you can just sit there and cast for a while.
Yeah.
The fight doesn't end too soon.
There was some potential of 2 members of MSJ to run multi-strikers. Cosmo did have the Spoils of War in the early BT Hard Slam, but now Mumu has already committed to Keepers and has a Gnasher's on a Kassadin, so that's even more towards the commitment decision for multi-strikers. So I think Cosmo might end up pivoting here soon, but we'll get a chance to see that as round 2 comes to a close. For now, however, see just how powerful 60 seconds Nunu is in dominating the rest of this lobby.
Yeah, it looks like we have people pretty designated on contest some of these compositions. You know, we have 2 multi-striker players, and I'm sure we have someone that will be playing that Kog'Maw. We see this last Whisper slammed, so that would be a good indication that that is the case.
Yeah, on to Bastion to Hunter. Might very well be going for that. Of course, as there is some interesting choices here. Maybe a Hecarim if you are a multi-striker player, but Elmumu taking the rod away from Hwanme.
Hwanme basically open forwarding alongside with Elmumu with just a bunch of 1-star units on their board, trying to figure out their identity. They have some items slammed. Hwanme has that Sojin and Elmumu that Nash's Tooth. And so now having an upgraded Twitch and one of these Kog'Maws on bench, really starting to show where On is going in this game.
Yeah, On rocking with the puppy too. This is, I want to say this is committed to Kog'Maw, but I guess it like technically doesn't have to be. But holding the Tristana and the Elias on the bench definitely does signify that being the case. Eventually those puppy items are going to want to go over to the Nunu. The main concern is that how poor On is, right? We're already after Carousel. On only has 13 gold, and we see some players in this lobby already at 30.
Yeah, lots of gold at the bottom of this lobby. Hwanme and Elmumu both at this 30 gold and wanting to continue that loss streak that would be so incredibly important to getting that gold even higher. Snowy with a couple of these items slammed on attack speed. Not sure where this is going to end up, though. That could continue to be a Kassadin, but I would doubt it.
Yeah, the only reason that made me think that it might remain to be a Kassadin is because there was at least one player from MSJ, either Cosmo or Elmumu, going to be kind of committed to that multi-striker line, so Snowy might just be on Grief Kassadin duty. We've seen that in the last round, that kind of contestation go the way of Twisted Minds handedly, so I think they are pretty confident with that kind of game plan in mind.
Absolutely. 60-second hoping to continue to win as we hop over on their board. They are level 5. They have that Honey Mancy in to Bastion, obviously, with that Nunu 2 that has been carrying throughout the stage. But Panda's board on the other side is quite strong as well. Having Eldritch in is fantastic. With that Ash 2 as a little bit of a carry here. Also stacking that Syndra early. But this Nunu is largely unkillable.
Yeah, I wonder how 60-second is going to build this board, though, because the way that the Syndra comp works out really well for pushing levels is it needs exactly, you know, 4 Vanguards, and 3 of the Vanguards are very important, right? Mordekaiser gives the Eldritch. Tom Kench is just a very good unit, the best Vanguard, but Galio gives that Mage as well. So how do you slot Nunu into this composition? Is it just gonna be something that is, you know, upgraded for now and then swap out when we get Giga late game? I'm not so sure. Like, the Nunu is just so powerful.
I'm not so sure that we're going to even stick with the Syndra. I think we're waiting to see these next set of items. We have that sword on bench, which is obviously good for either of these compositions. If you get a tier, Sojin is excellent on both of these 2 cost carries. And so I think obviously we'll be rolling with that Nunu throughout the game, but just unsure of where it will end up in the midterm. Tristana, though, on bench or in shop if they decide to buy.
Yeah, they want a bit more gold, perhaps. Okay, they have the potential for a red buff and a Shojin on Syndra, so this could be a commitment to this line here, but I definitely agree with you that it's not... I mean, it doesn't have to go that way. It still could go the way of Kog'Maw.
It still could go either way.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what they want to do in this lobby. Looking at, is this line contested? Who are they going to slam these items on?
It is going to be a Shojin slam. But okay, even Shojins and red buff, they could go on either Syndra or Kog'Maw, right? It's not even indicative of a lock-in on which line.
No, it's just smart to keep the stacks going on that Syndra
Yeah.
also. So whether or not you're playing it in the late game or not, this second augment maybe will help them decide. Their next few shops will help them decide. And the lobby, who is playing what is going to go on. Obviously, Ryu on the other side is going to be playing the Syndra. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think about that. A AP carry can field the same items as an AD carry and then be just as good, right? Nearly best in slot. It's yeah, not every day, not every set. Actually, probably no sets that we can say that that is the case.
Well, you're going to make Mortdog happy with that, 'cause I think that's their intention, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They want to have these AD casters. They want to have this red buff be an attack speed item that's good on a lot of units, and a silver augment, again, won't really help many people choose their composition, but will give them some combat power.
Yeah, everything rerolled there, and actually, as we look at what they did actually decide, Find Your Center was the first augment rerolled. Have you ever clicked on that augment, Find Your Center?
I've not, but what I have seen do super well with that is that Wukong frontline.
Oh, yeah.
The solo frontline when you do that is incredible. Elmumu is committing to this multi-striker route with double attack speed items on this Kassadin. Not something we've seen too much, but something that can be super powerful. Definitely need to go for that BT, though.
Yeah, 100%. I actually thought that Elmumu was going to go Nashers and Archangels. I think that's a combination that we have seen pretty frequently this weekend, especially when Nashers is that first item. It will be a Rageblade Slam on the Ashe as just a little bit of supplemental damage, and going to want to bring that over into a Callista a bit later. But Castle, like you're saying, does very much need that Bloodthirster, needs to find that sword on the next carousel.
And Rageblade is one of the best items on any of these multi-strikers, because obviously as you proc more attacks, your Rageblade will stack faster than any other unit because of those multiple attacks here. So we see some sort of commitment here from on the other side. We have that Kog'Maw too. We have 6 copies of that Nunu as we've seen. So commitment has been made, and they will continue to roll for all of those Hunter units.
Yeah, this is a really rough spot for Hwanmei. His 68 HP, lowest in the lobby, which isn't like terribly concerning, but what's concerning to me is the board. Hwanmei isn't particularly rich. They might decide to level up to 7 next round and roll it down. We've seen some post stage 3 carousel roll downs in the previous game, and actually worked out quite well, finding a Karma 2. So gonna have to see if that is the case again here for Hwanmei.
We see this BT finally completed on this Kassadin, which is extremely important. We also have the double duplicator on bench. I don't know if we have seen that quite yet. It will be very powerful in helping them get to the place that they're hoping to with that golden Kassadin on. We're seeing the power of the Kog'Maw, the commitment there happening, but Panda with a Syndra 2 as well.
Panda with the Syndra 2. Stage 3 carousel. Let's see if that sword is picked. There actually is no sword in the carousel. That is a huge blunder. Or I guess just like unfortunate circumstance for Elmumu, as he can't get that healing on the Kassadin.
I didn't realize both of these Kassadins have Rageblade plus Nashers. That is very unique. But Snowy and Elmumu contesting one another on that line is something we've seen happen between teams most of this tournament. But Snowy having those duplicators makes him have that big advantage.
Yeah, we have a bit of rolling happening for a 60-second. It's somehow one Poppy away. Okay, this is very unique, and it actually does make a little bit of sense. I don't want to say a lot of sense, but okay, there is going to be the synergy of Incanter that's shared by Syndra and Ziggs. So you can just not run Vanguards, not run Eldritch, but still run the Syndra carry. The unfortunate thing is 60-second has not hit any extra copies of the Syndra. So maybe it's just better to, after Poppy 3 is hit, to just continue to push levels, right? That's going to allow those extra Blitzcranks to come through with that Caretaker's ally as well.
Yeah, and I think this is what the board will end up being. I think it'll be a 4 Bastion 4 Incanter line, because you'll end up playing a Cassio with this Poppy as well to get to Witchcraft and just keep powering up the Syndra that they've had for a very long time with these items on it. And so it is well stacked up. It does have the potential to carry throughout this game, just on a more unique frontline, more unusual frontline compared to normal.
Very unique, very A thing that I'd love to see, actually, the moments where you can put a lot of creativity into your game plan because that's just the way that the game went, but players having to capitalize on that is the most impressive thing. 62nd doing that fantastically here as they are on the top of the standings, but there are two members of Twisted Minds on a 4-loss streak, dropping very low. Hwanmia did level to 7 but did not roll, so at 4-1 or 4-2, Hwanmia is going to full send it.
Oh, but Hwama may lose his streak here. That board on the other side is not very strong either. We do have items slammed for both sides, and Hwama may win this matchup. Soraka with Rage Blade is not
Rumble,
super
though.
good, but thankfully this Rumble has so much healing and does enough damage that the streak is not ruined. That will be actually just a pretty good loss for him.
I actually love when this Rumble unit is able to carry, because flashing all the way back to season 2 of League, I was a Rumble main, and that's how I climbed from silver to plat. So seeing Rumble now in TFT still be a part of this meta just brings a smile to my face.
Have you tried Melted Caramel yet? Is it any good?
I have not actually even seen an augment. I have 50-60 games and I have not seen an augment once. I really want to try it though.
Yeah, every time I've seen it, it hasn't done super well, but you go ahead.
I will try it. I'll report back to you on that one.
Sounds good. And I will try category 5 every time I see it now.
Absolutely.
So it's RLP's doomed. It's fine.
We're never gonna get to Masters at this rate. Unlucky.
We're gonna get stuck in the diamond mines forever again.
Ooh, some great itemization here for On, having that declaw
Lesser
potential, and a Lesser Champion Duplicator is really, really strong. We got a Jinx upgrade. We have 3 Nunus away, 3 Kog'Maws away, a potential Grief of the Syndra, but can't really afford to do all of that. At least not yet.
Yeah, there's no way they make this Syndra. They just pull 2 of them. Basically the same effect, just -1. Selling the Tristana 2 to try and roll for more of these units. Has the 2 lesser duplicators, trying to steal away maybe some of these Nunus, definitely some of these Kog'Maws away from the opposition.
Yeah, On really not hitting as much as he would have liked to. However, with all of the gold spent, with silver ticket being the thing that is grabbed as well, I think it's okay to sell that Tristana. There's oftentimes only room to itemize 2 carries between Kog'Maw, Tristana, and Jinx on winning that round against Hwanmia, who is level to 8 and not hit too much, unfortunately. Still has about 20 gold left to roll next round though, but we're going to see some players, maybe Cosmo of course, pushing level 8 and looking to see these prismatic options here and what they land on. Ooh, Call to Chaos.
Call to Chaos, I know it's not going to be the click,
yeah,
but
probably not. I'm the carry now.
I'm the carry now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just so good.
Boring. Boo. Where's the chaos?
No chaos here. Just a big golem.
I get it. Twisted Minds looking to 2-0 MSJ here in this game, and a big roll down for Hwame happening here. A lot of good pairs happening. We do have that Gwen too, which is quite important. We have that Fiora still sitting on bench, which will definitely slot in here as a piece of this warrior composition. A Camille as well, looking probably for that Callista primarily.
Yeah, has that Randuin as well with the increased range. Who's gonna put that on? Okay, it's gonna be on the Nico. For now, the Rise carries all of these mana and attack speed items.
Yeah, not gonna go for the multi-striker route, but instead we'll go for that more mage-focused. I'm not sure we'll stick with this Rise, although it is good with Scholar and Preserver in as well. Synergies do work. We see the strength already showing here.
Yeah, the Rise Even 1-star are doing a lot of work, as we do see a Kassadin 3 come through for Snowy. That is very, very strong. Even a Pyro emblem actually getting a good bit of usage on this Callista, especially when she rends, right? Several units. If any of them are at that 12% threshold, they will just be executed.
And here is, I mean, and this is one of the things about the 2, 3, 4, 5 traits. It's so nice to just have that emblem that you're gonna splash in. You're like, yeah, it's +1 every time. You don't have to get 2 or 3 more units in order to level up that trait. It's just 1 at a time.
Yeah, now On versus Snowy. A couple of re-rollers here, but the Kog'Maw versus the Kassadin.
Ooh, with a fairly good support golem. Also, that Aegis is obviously one of the best in the game. The Banshee is going to really help this front line stay alive, not get CC'd as much as normal. But is it going to be enough to take on this Kassadin? It is not.
Wow.
Snowy continuing their winning ways.
Yeah, pretty close. Cosmo, a player who has fast 8 of this game, being on just the Nasus 1 and Callista 1. Recon 2, though, with TG. And Lucky Gloves, actually, is a fantastic pickup there. So they are able to stabilize as we get into the stage for a carousel. And take a look at all the comps here. We have half the lobby pretty much, you know, re-rolling with Snowy on in 62nd. Most of them have hit as well.
And we see here El Mumu knowing that they're not going to hit that Kassadin 3, now going for that 7 multi-striker. You see the multi-striker crest coming in from that prismatic, which is important, but also kind of giving up because they know that a Kassadin 3 has already been hit in the lobby, which will make it much more difficult. We see 60 seconds hitting that Nunu 3 and that Poppy 3 as well. But some of these level 8 rolldowns are really what we need to keep our eye on.
Definitely. Most of the gold has already been spent. Ryu leveling up to 8. Wanmi continuing the roll down as well. And for El Mumu, with that multi-striker line, had to settle on a Hand of Justice instead of a Bloodthirster on the Kassadin, which is still some healing, but definitely is a lot worse.
This is a really strong rise too now with really good items on this board. Really need to get some of those upgrades though in the front line for Wame. Need to get that Nasus and that Fiora upgraded in order to take this board to the next level.
And even Nico, right? Nico's still just tier 1 as well.
Yeah.
Maybe Kassadin get through his front line and get to that rise.
I'm curious if we will pivot to that multi-striker route later if we hit this Callista 2. Not sure what items would go on there, but we see even beating the win streaker in this lobby. But that is good news for the team of Twisted Minds. Hwami is going for that win condition while Snowy has dominated much of this mid game. This is a winning recipe.
El Mumu just needs one more Kassadin and then use that duplicator for a tier 3. Each roll that comes through and it doesn't hit a Kassadin is so devastating. We have 2 more rolls, 1 more, but we have to sell some of the board. Honestly, I'm down to just sell the Hecarim, replace it in the shop with a 1-star Hecarim. You know, I hate Hecarim, of course. But okay, the big thing is, though, that Kassadin 3 is going to be the difference, right? The Mumu does not have that many more lives left available in this game.
There is not a person in this world that hates Hecarim more than you.
I think that's probably
we have
true.
The bug currently.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see a fight here soon. We do, with Cosmo versus 62nd.
62nd with that Radiant Spear of Sojin now from this Prismatic is really, really powerful, as we have seen throughout our tournament. And now with this the 3-star Bastion frontline, we're seeing this creative gameplay really pay off. And again, MSJ is paying for it. 2 of them are in danger of going out in 7th and 8th.
Yeah, El Mumu and Cosmo dropping dangerously low, and we know that if 2 members of the same team go 7-8, the remaining 2 members have to go 1-2. But even with Panda and On spots in this game, they're not looking likely for that. On did win the last round. Panda lost it. But it starts with El Mumu and Cosmo trying to scrape any single placement point possible.
And this will be a very, very important stage. Can MSJ survive and keep their tournament hopes alive? Or will Twisted Minds put them to rest here in just 2 games and send themselves to the playoffs?
Ooh, El Mumu not getting a bow there, really wanting another pyro, but not being able to utilize that spatula effectively at all. Like, there's no good options available. You can't craft a multi-striker emblem. Probably the only thing that could have happened well. Oh, actually is good.
Just kidding.
Okay, that is a way to do it, actually.
That charm is going to save El Mumu's game, but now we just need 1 more Kassadin. So bad we need this Kassadin in order to duplicate it.
Does not hit. Have to remake the items now. TG Hecarim. What else, though? No real attack speed. It's just going to be tank items left available. Oh, man, this is rough.
Slamming everything they can throughout this fight. Finally slamming their last item, but that 7 Eldritch on the other side would like to have something to say about this matchup. Elmumu falling out in 8th place. Cosmo
Also falling.
also taking a loss and dropping out. Oh no.
MSJ have to make a miracle run here after going 7-8. They need 1-2, but Hwanmi and the rest of Twisted Minds just keep getting stronger. The playoffs are well within reach of Twisted Minds here. They just have to focus up for the next few rounds, and then moving on to the top 8 will be achieved.
And here's another thing. This is some breaking news here on the B stream. Team Falcons has now fallen out of the tournament.
What?
They have lost 2-1. And so
Against
now
Navi,
it's
right?
time for Twisted Minds must now carry the Chinese crown for them.
Wow, that is insane. MSJ, though, not wanting that to happen here, as Panda's board is so insanely strong. The 7 Eldritch Syndra does take a huge chunk out of Ryu. On, however, is going to lose another round and drop into 6th place currently.
Maybe this is the 1-2-3-4 that Twisted Minds wanted last game. It's going to be close. This is looking quite dire for On. Obviously hitting some of his board, but again, he's on grief duty and it's not in a position to win this game whatsoever.
No.
And so they know that this is going to be the end of the road, most likely for MSJ.
This is so rough too. Not even being able to level to 7 right now. Literally just 1 gold off. Playing that Tristana, getting Blaster, getting Fairy. Kog'Maw has a lot of work to do here.
Man, 62nd has played such an impressive game. Using that Nunu, understanding the flexible spot he was in, trying to decide whether or not to go Kog'Maw or go Syndra, and lands on this Syndra and still dominates this game with a unique frontline.
One more round for On to be eliminated, and then Twisted Minds will crown themselves champion of the series and move forward on. I like you're saying, CLE, I don't think On's gonna be able to do it. We'll be able to level up to 7, but there is just so much power in the rest of Twisted Minds boards. Hwanmi on a 7 win streak, 62nd being at about 50 HP. It is looking like the end of the road for MSJ unless a literal miracle happens.
And I'm not even sure there's anything that they can do. Panda's board is a little bit strong with 7 Eldritch as well, but there's a lot of 1-stars and not a lot of gold to work with, where Twisted Mind still having a lot of their resources. Hwame on that giant win streak because the board has come together and is dominating the lobby. And if On faces nearly any of these Twisted Minds, and especially his teammate, he will be out in the bottom 4 here.
Yes, he will. Will this be the round that crowns Twisted Champions? The winners of this, it's up against Hwanmi. It's not looking good, CLE.
Lots and lots of upgrades. The Fiora upgrade is absolutely massive for this board. And so we are probably going to see lights out for On. And that will be the end of the road for MSJ here at EWC.
Unless...
A fantastic showing, upsetting Twisted Minds in the first round. But now getting the same treatment that they gave them, the 2-0 victory, going to Twisted Minds.
Twisted Minds are going to advance in dominant fashion. 2 games in a row now, sending MSJ out in 8th, 7th, and 6th. A complete 180 from the series in day number 1, where Twisted Minds fell 2-0. This is almost an unrecognizable roster now with the strength, the dominance, the prowess that Twisted Minds are showing.
And it was all top 5 as well. Like that's the insane part about their day here and this matchup, is that top 5 the whole entire time. Complete domination, never let their foot off the gas. Each of the players doing their part in these games. We do see Panda putting together a pretty good board here. 7 Eldritch with the 2-star Briar is quite good. Now getting Mage in as well, so the Nami can cast a ton. But we see here This Eldritch unit is quite strong, so it may not be the 1, 2, 3, 4 again, unless the Syndra has something to say about it. No, Snowy will drop out instead.
Snowy drops out, and so one member again of MSJ does sneak into the top 4. But it is not going to be enough, of course. Twisted Mind still playing for that average placement. Ryu still wanting to get better placement than Panda. As Hwanmi and 60-second, surely they're strong enough. As I do, again, want to give props to this creative style of play that we see here on the board from 60-second. 2 Encanter, 3 Arcana, 4 Bastion. We're wondering kind of how that endgame board will end up at, but just such a good recognition of taking that, you know, taking that augment and just making it work out, right? Taking all the new news from that Caretakers and saying, I can still play Syndra with this.
Yeah, just very unique style of play. Obviously, leaning into one of the most powerful units right now in the current meta, that Syndra, that they're able to get online early, which has really propelled them into the spot that they're at. Still winning, still win streaking, using those TGs, the immovable object. Oh, that's Hwanmi who has the win streak with those things. But like even that position, he played that huge loss streak into massive win streak perfectly.
Absolutely.
Really piecing together a board that is also unique. Not quite the Witchcraft board, not quite the multi-striker late game board that we are used to seeing, but just a lot of good upgraded units.
Yeah, just the level of play. And this is not creativity that we've seen from Twisted Minds, at least in the first matchup versus MSJ. And I talked about that leading into the series. Like, I think we're going to need to see more of that. Both teams did not really show that level of creativity, but now that Twisted Minds has kind of gone that direction, they're able to execute way better than I ever would have imagined.
Looks like we are changing carries possibly. Camille 2 is massive, wanting to maybe put this Karma 2 in instead for that 4 Chrono board. This is a little bit more standard, which is probably a good idea for them. Getting some more gold in pocket is Hwame trying to find that Karma 2, not quite finding it.
Hey, it's fine. Karma 1 way better than I ever would have imagined.
Looks like we are changing carries possibly. Camille 2 is massive, wanting to maybe put this Karma 2 in instead for that 4 Chrono board. This is a little bit more standard, which is probably a good idea for them. Getting some more gold in pocket is Hwame trying to find that Karma 2, not quite finding it.
Hey, it's fine. Karma 1 better than Rise 2, right?
Yeah, right?
Honestly, it feels that way sometimes, but maybe not actually the case.
Panda trying their best to at least have some redeeming part of this game, possibly try to go for that first place. The Briar doing so much damage. They have continued to give her the treats to give her more HP throughout these fights, and it's paying some dividends. We see 8 HP left, which means you can feed her 2 more times before you would accidentally you know, kill yourself in this game, which is just so funny to me.
Hwanmi dropping out in 4th here. Ryu on single-digit HP. Panda is going to survive for now. Ryu trying to roll for
I'm just thinking about if in 3 rounds Panda wants to, and just in an honorable way, just like in chess, you like lay down your king if you know you've lost. Just feed your Briar 1 more time, just for fun.
That would be funny. I'm very down to see that, actually.
Honorable. It's not an FF. You're just, you know, oops.
So I just fed my Briar. Oh well, it's in-game mechanic that I've utilized, and yeah, sent myself out here. Oh, what a board from 60 seconds.
I'm down.
Yeah. Oh, close matchup here. As it comes down to the wire, just a couple of auto attacks of backliners are going to send out Ryu. Panda on a 4-win streak. There's another Briar here on the carousel. A few emblems that might not be grabbed there. Actually, Eldritch for Panda. Not needing another one though, however. Just gonna grab Titans instead.
Yeah.
Can't really get to that 10 Eldritch. With the Eldritch there.
Guess you need one more.
But at least would free up a spot.
That is true.
I'm not sure what you really want to drop though. Maybe just a Neela, because you're not playing Warrior or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
Neela, Elise even.
They don't have much gold to
because
roll.
you're not playing any shapeshifters,
Yeah.
so.
Friar is, but
Oh wait, you're right. I'm wrong. What the? Friar is a shapeshifter. Doesn't
That's
feel
good.
like it actually, but she is.
yeah, you so often like you're playing shapeshifter at that level 6 reroll, so you don't get to the Briar.
Yeah.
But it really is such a unique. Like that's why Syndra with 6 shapeshifter Eldritch 3 is so incredibly powerful. And as we see it, possibly one of our last fights. If Panda narrowly wins, we will probably see one more fight
Briar's a beast.
in this matchup. Absolutely crazy. The IE plus the Titans plus the Rage Blade. 60 seconds staying alive.
All right, now does Panda do it?
Do it.
Can we take the world?
Oh, wait, does it not give him the treat? I thought it does.
Oh,
Oh,
wait a
man.
minute. We've been lied to. There's no
That's
there's
all right.
no treat. Unfortunate. Panda not being able to honorably take the L there, but trying to get the dub at the end of the day, trying to send 60-second out in second place, and with the power of this Briar, just might be able to.
Pretty good